Hey everyone, welcome back to the Dailey Blend show with me, Reed Dailey. This is the special edition Tuesday Top 5, and we're calling it the special edition mostly because it was supposed to go up on Friday, March 17th, and just through life, we ran out of time. If you have not tuned in before, don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to the show on all major podcast platforms. That's Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify. Shows are then posted over on YouTube. So if that's your favorite place to consume content, we are on YouTube at Dailey Blend. And you can find us online at Dailey Blend on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. With all of that said, let's jump into the show. So this week as always, we've got 5 stories that I thought were notable or interesting. The first is talking about how to create that perfect steak with Laurent Dagenais. And Laurent, we're going to connect online, and you're going to tell me how to pronounce your last name correctly. Then we're going to highlight Bobby Axelrod, a.k.a. Damon Lewis, in a new TV show, A Spy Among Friends. AlphaTheta, a.k.a. Pioneer DJ, releases a new controller, the OPUS-QUAD. And we're going to talk about thoughts, ideas, feedback, etc. Then we're going to talk about some fantastic cocktail making by Chicago's own Anders Erickson and some tie-ins with other projects that I've got going on. And then we're going to talk about some 2023 lineup for some Heat and Sneaker Game. All right, so let's jump in. So as I mentioned earlier, I really am struggling with this guy's last name. He is, I think, from Quebec or Montreal, wherever they speak French in Canada. And his name is Laurent Dagenais. I feel bad. Anyway, he's a funny YouTuber. And by funny, I mean just like clever, not like a big joke guy. But he did this really great 30-minute video about how to, make I don't want to call it the perfect, but a very fantastic steak dinner. And so this was all about ribeyes and how to cook a ribeye appropriately in a skillet, which I still feel like every time I do, I burn. So I've got to look at the temperature he's using. I think I need to go back. But the best thing that I learned from watching this was the oven roasted potatoes. So I cook a ton of potatoes, not every week, but I do mashed potatoes, I do baked potatoes, I do boiled potatoes. But when I do cut up baked potatoes, in this case wedges like him, mine are always mushy and they're just not that flavorful. So he really walked through how to cut them right, how to season them correctly, how to cook them so they actually get crispy all around. He used just a really basic technique, which was putting the baking sheet and then having sort of the mesh grill on top of it so they get cooked all around. But he also flipped them, which I don't do. And then he made a béarnaise sauce, which I've only made out of the package with my folks. I've actually never made it from scratch. So I have not yet tried this playbook. I'm going to give it a go probably this weekend. I've decided that I usually like cooking steak on Saturday or Sunday, and I don't think I'm doing much this Saturday. So I'm going to try to prep it all either Friday night or Saturday morning so that when we're, racing back from whatever activity, it's not that hard to pull this stuff together. So, the key takeaway here is the video was 30 minutes. I thought he did a really good job of showcasing how to make all of this food and kind of keeping it simple and not making it too difficult. And, he's got a great YouTube channel. I think he's got something like 1.3 million subs. So go check it out. All right, we're switching from YouTube to, a true AMC, original series. And it is A Spy Among Friends. It's based off of the New York Times best-selling book. This series dramatizes, I can't say that word, the true story of Nicholas Elliott and Kim Philby, two British spies and longtime friends. Philby was the most notorious British defector and Soviet double agent in history. And Damon Lewis is such a great character actor that I can't wait to watch this series and just understand what actually happened in history, or not in history, in this book. And just see, is this a one and done sort of show, or are there multiple series, either with these two characters, or were they just showcase different spies over time? Obviously, it's based on a book, so there could be a definitive amount of stories. All right, moving from literature into sound creation or music manipulation, however you want to think about it. I put it down as tech and music. AlphaTheta, aka Pioneer DJ, has released the OPUS-QUAD, a professional all-in-one DJ system from its Pioneer DJ brand. The OPUS-QUAD puts professional DJs in the control of their music, creating harmony between design, musical playability, and offers multiple advanced features such as standalone 4-deck playback, and combines a spectacular DJ experience that can be harnessed and inspired. Okay, that was the press readout. Let me just give you kind of my readout. AlphaTheta was a spin out of Pioneer. Obviously they're Pioneer DJ, but it was a spin out, a stand-up company, and they've been doing that, I think, my mind is like 3 to 4 years maybe. And so that's probably, how long it takes to bring new product to market when you think about new ideas and doing the R&D and getting all the components and, putting it into your your alpha or beta build, and then putting out like a gold master. Obviously, I'm not part of the Pioneer team, so I actually don't know those key stats. But if you look at this unit, it's dramatically different in terms of the look and feel. It's not that sort of real industrial look that Pioneer and many other DJ brands have been known for over the years. It's much more, I wouldn't say Apple. I'd actually say more like a Google product with the heavy use of wood on the side paneling. It almost feels like something that would have come out in the 70s in terms of a rotary mixer. But, it's much more gold and copper and gold and kind of wood accents. The screen is massive. I'm very excited to try out this unit based on the reviews I've seen from the internet. So that is Mojax and Cleveland Terry and a couple of those other YouTubers that are really big into reviewing DJ products. They all said the same thing. It is very, very large. In terms of a couple things that I thought were more interesting, obviously the screen is gigantic. Pioneer still hasn't released the ability to show all 4 channels in parallel, whereas one of their competitors can. I also thought, they continue to put the buttons on top of the CDJ sort of jog wheels. And I know this is part of the design language coming off of the Nexus, not the Nexus 300s, whatever the CDJ 3000s are. I'm just not a fan of that. I would have put them below, but that's just me. And I think the knobs on this are not just circular infinity knobs. There's actually some like joysticking, which is kind of interesting. And the new touchscreen is much more like your iPhone. I think previous versions had not been as responsive or easy to use. So, it's a 4-channel mixer. It's going to have Pioneer's sort of approach to effects, which is, buttons, like 4 or 5 buttons, and then the ability to assign 1 or more channels. It's the first 2 products Pioneer's put out this year that I'm aware of. So it's this one, and that I think it's the A3 or A9 mixer. That was their update from the Nexus, Nexus mixer series. So if you have, I think, over $3,000 to spare, go check out this unit. Let me know what you think. very interested to see this in the wild. So as many of you know, I host or co-host a podcast called Negronis with Greg with my good friend Greg Larson. And I am obviously a big fan of any Negronis. We are currently working through Matt Horanick's book, A Love Affair, a Negroni, A Love Affair with a Classic Cocktail. And we do throw in drinks before the drink. So it's like, think about it as we're doing a drink highlight. So when we kind of kick off the show, we always have a drink. And I'm trying to find out which ones that I like best. And Anders Erickson from Chicago has become a go-to YouTuber for me. I appreciate a little bit of the history that he provides in the cocktails. His videos are sort of the appropriate length. And he does a nice job of mixing, those drinks that he's sort of made with, classic drinks with local bartenders or bartenders in vogue now. And one of the drinks that he highlighted on his show was the Coffee Negroni using Mr. Black. I sort of started drinking this when it turned a little cold, and I have absolutely fell in love with this. If you make it, you must, and I say must, get Mr. Black. It's a coffee liqueur type product out of either Australia or New Zealand. I think it's Australia, and it is like full stop my favorite coffee liqueur. I drink a ton of coffee. It just makes the drink. And go check out Anders and his YouTube channel. Don't forget to make a Coffee Negroni when you're watching that episode. And check out Greg and my podcast, Negronis with Greg, on Apple Podcast and Spotify. All right, rounding out the show, let's talk about some sneaker heat. So Jordan Brand just released its summer lineup that is going to be, I think, roughly 14 shoes to hit the stores between April, May, and June. It doesn't surprise me that it's a nice combination of Jordan 1s. We've got some Jordan 3s, kind of starting to round out these Jordan 2s that have been coming out. Jordan 3s, we've got ones that, for me, they look like the Jordan 3s that just came out over the weekend that are supposed to be like the retro ones, but these are with green hits. They've got not a full-on all red, but almost all red shoe for the Jordan 6s that I'm pretty fired up about. And they have some Jordan 5s that are sort of more cream and tan. So a couple pieces of heat there. They even have some elephant print black and gray Jordan 1 lows that look pretty good. And, I'm probably going to pick up a pair or two, especially those Jordan 1s that look much more like a St. Patrick's Day shoe with the black in the front toe box and then the green in the back heel. So just, there's a lot of heat out there. Go check it out. We featured links thanks to the good friends over at Sneaker News. We featured links to all of the posts that they put out about all these shoes. We highly recommend you going and checking out their website. And if you are new to buying Jordans, just go buy a pair of Jordan 1s. I've got a bunch of friends and people that I've met around town, and I'm just like, always get Jordan 1s. They look great with pretty much anything that you're wearing, and you're going to start to really enjoy being a part of the sneaker culture. All right, that wraps it up for this week's episode of the Dailey Blend Show. This week, you're going to see or hear a lot more of us just because we had some show backlog. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe to the show on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify. Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe, Dailey Blend at Dailey Blend on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And obviously, you can check us out on DaileyBlend.com. Thanks for tuning in. Catch you later this week.